y'all, welcome back to the farmstead. Today we'll be building a chicken coop and winterizing the coop that we currently have and getting the farmstead prepared for winter.
So we're going to bring y'all along and show you how we built our other coop. This one's just going to be about half the size. It's the same concept though. So let me get set up here and we'll show you what we're doing. So this is our existing coop. It is 4 foot wide and 12 feet long. It's about 6 foot tall in the front there. It's tall enough to stand up in if you stoop a little. I wanted to be able to get in it whenever I needed to clean it out. There's a big door on this end. There's the same door on the other end. It's very functional, maybe a little bit elaborate, but we've got nest boxes accessible from the outside. I actually put in 2 sets of nest boxes. Little did I know when I built this that you could have 100 chickens and every last one of them are going to lay in one nest box. Those window panels there, they go up here. I've just got a toggle up there to hold those on. I don't usually put those up till it really starts getting cold. Yep, he's excited. Alright, so for ventilation, I've got an overhang about 1 foot on the front and the back. Alright, so our nest boxes, there's 5 nest boxes here. Those are fake eggs, we just never taken those out. You can pull your eggs out from the outside. Got shingles on the roof. They're very messy with their food. 2 Roost Bars. They're at exactly the same level. If you put one higher than the other, every chicken you have will be on the higher one. Okay, so I'm going to put those on the same level. As you can see, I've got those other nest boxes down there blocked off. I just didn't want them getting in there and using those as a toilet. The other end, the door just like the one we're in now. Yeah, this is one of the things we're going to repair. This ramp. I actually set up 2 of those because at a point in time I was going to divide this coop in half and have 2 different types of chickens. I never did that, so I never divided it in half. That one I've just screwed shut. This one I let down every day. They can come and go. I shut them up at night. The run isn't super secure. It's secure enough to keep chickens in, but what keeps them safe is the coop. So we're putting in the footings now. This one's only going to have 4 posts. It's going to be half the size of the old coop. We've got cat blocks we're going to set the posts on. Just digging these holes, setting those cat blocks good and flat, making sure the ground's packed nice and tight underneath. All right. This coop's going to be half the size of the old coop and half as tall. I have no intention of getting in this one. This is going to be strictly for the chickens. I can clean it out from either end, so I'm not concerned about climbing in it. Let me get the rest of these blocks in the holes, and we'll get started cutting the posts. Okay. So I'm repurposing some 4x4 posts from an old swing set. I want my coop to be 2 feet off the ground so the chickens can get underneath it. And the ground is on a little bit of a slope. So I'm going to start with the high side. I'm going to cut a 2-foot post and set it on my high corner. I'm going to level from there so the posts will be a little bit different. I'll show you what I got when I get set up. So I've got my 24-inch post set. I'm leveling across to my other footing to get a measurement on the second post. Looks like 24 7/8. Let me get that cut and I'll get back with you. So I got my second post cut. Got that sitting there. Looks pretty good to me. Let me level across to this one, get another number, and I'll get this post put in. 27 3/8. So, little trick for those of you that don't build, I've got a 4-foot level. Anytime you've got a span longer than 4 foot, if you'll grab yourself a good straight 2x4 that doesn't have any crown, it can span the gap for you and really help you out. Alright, so I got the 4th post in. It's pretty much lather, rinse, repeat. You just want to make sure you're sitting good and level. Alright, level all the way around. Now we can start cutting the 2x for the bands that's going to hold up the floor. So we got the bands up. Now what we need to do is go ahead and put a couple more joists in here. I'm going to put these 2 foot on center. There's going to be one there, one about there. I'm also going to put some braces in here just to shore this thing up a little bit because it's got some pretty long legs. Now 2 foot on center, the joist being 2 foot apart will be okay for this. I would typically go 16 inches, but for the floor we're going to use this 1x material from the sawmill. It is rough sawn and it is a full 1 inch thick, so that'll make the floor good and solid. So let me go ahead and get the rest of these joists cut and put in here, and I'll get back with you when we start running the floor. Be sure to get the kids involved in projects like this. These little projects really help them to learn how to build and learn handy skills they'll use later in life. Good job, bud. You always need somebody to hold the business end of your tape measure. Good job. You always need somebody to help trace your patterns too. Good job, bud. So we got these braces on here. When you put a brace on, you want your brace to be about 1/3 of the way down, at least 1/3. Right? So in this case, I've just measured down 10 inches, measured across 10 inches, and to get this number, you'll take yourself a framing square. Make sure your post is good and square. Once it's square, you can measure from your mark to mark, and that'll be your brace. Alright, let me get the rest of these braces put on, and we will start running the floor. So we're starting to run our decking now, but before you start your decking, you want to make sure that your frame is good and square. The best way to do that is to measure from corner to corner. Measure from that corner to here. We got 80.5. Do the same on the opposite corner. From that corner to here, again we've got 80.5. If you're really out of square, you can take a ratchet strap and pull this thing any way you need it to move. Once you get it pulled, put a brace on it and start running your decking. Once you've got your decking about halfway across, you can take the brace off. It'll hold it where it is. Let me get this decking finished up and we'll start building the walls. So we got our decking done and that looks pretty good. Now the next thing we got to do is start building this wall. So I'm going to start cutting studs. This back wall is going to be 2.5 feet tall. So we got this back wall up. As you can see, I got one top plate here, and each of these studs sits on top of a joist. I would typically put a bottom plate on this, but it's a chicken house, so I'm not super concerned about it. Those 2x4s are actually 2 inches by 4 inch. They're rough sawn, they're really thick. This is going to be a really solid chicken coop. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the front wall. The front wall is going to be 3 feet tall, and that difference from 2.5 to 3 feet will give me a little bit of an angle that I need for the roof. just like this one. Alright? So, let me get this front wall built and I'll get back with you guys. So we got our front wall done, just like our back wall, and we got those walls braced. Alright, you want to put a brace on here, just like that. Make sure that this corner is good and plumb this way. Once you get it plumb, screw it in place with a brace and leave that brace on there until you get the siding on. Whatever you're going to use for siding. In our case, we're going to use that same 1x material we use for the floor. Once I get that whole wall sided, then I can take that brace down and we'll start putting rafters on. Let me get this siding run and I'll get back with you guys. So we got this back wall done. We also got the front wall done. And I went ahead and framed in a door. Now that door has got 2 hinges up top and a barrel bolt at the bottom. So nothing can get in from the outside. And to let our chickens out, all we've got to do is reach inside here and undo this barrel bolt. The door swings up and catches on that toggle right there. Just like that. Chickens can come and go as they please, and we can shut them up at night. So now we're ready to start running rafters. Before you start setting rafters, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure both of your walls are plumb. The way you can achieve that is to plumb this higher wall, go ahead and get it good and plumb, and get a brace on it to hold it in place. Then take a measurement from inside to inside of your 2 walls and cut a board. That'll be that board right there. Go ahead and put that board in place. If this tall wall is plumb and it's braced up, that board will make this wall plumb. Once you get that done on both ends, you're ready to start setting your rafters. Let me get this done on the other end and I'll show you how to measure and mark out your rafters. So I know it's just a chicken coop, but you want to try and make sure everything is as plumb and level as you can get it. Alright? That'll really help you out when you go to finish this thing up. So now that we've got our walls all braced up, we are ready to start setting rafters. Now, I can show you how to calculate these rafters using trig. It's just a bunch of right triangles. Most framing is that way. But I think we'll save that for another day. I'm going to show you a much simpler way to figure and set your rafters. The first thing you're going to want to do is get a measurement from that outside corner to this back corner right there. Then you're going to want to figure what kind of overhang you want. In our case, we're going to want about a 12-inch overhang on the back, would be over here, and about a 6-inch overhang on the front. So you add those 3 numbers together and cut a board that length square. Let me get that done and I'll show you what to do. So I've got my rafter cut here. Those 3 numbers all together were about 5 feet, so I cut the board at 5 feet. Now I know I want a 12-inch overhang on the back, so I'm going to make a mark at 12 inches. And I'm going to square that mark all the way around where I can see it. Okay? Now we're going to take this board and we're going to hold it up there on those 2 corners that I showed you before. Put that mark on the back corner and we're going to trace the top plate. Let me get set up and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So you want to take your rafter and hold it up to your wall. You want to make the inside of this wall flush with the bottom. Put our mark on the outside of the wall just like that. And on the other end, you want to make this top outside corner flush with the bottom of your board. And you just want to trace the notch out. I'm going to get someone to give me a hand marking this board. I'll get it cut out and I'll show you what it looks like when we get it done. So that's what your knot should look like. One on this end and one on the other end. I'm going to take a jigsaw and cut those out. You don't want to cut too far past this intersect, because when you do, that just weakens your rafter. So I'm going to use a jigsaw to cut right to it. Let me get these notches cut out and I'll set the rafter in place and show you what it looks like. And there you go. Once you get your notches cut, they should fit on your wall just like a glove. So, this is how you do your overhang. We want a 6-inch overhang on the front. So what you want to do is make a mark at 6 inches. If you need to, you can use a framing square. Once you got that mark, get yourself a level, a little torpedo level or something like this, works great. And just plumb that line right down your board. Go ahead and cut that, and that'll be your overhang. Do the same thing on the back side. Then you can use this rafter as a pattern to cut all the rest of your rafters. Get them nailed in place, and you'll be ready to start running the roofing. Does it meet your approval? Cool. So I got our rafters up, and I went ahead and nailed a board up here along the ends of the rafters. When you do that, all you want to do is just hold something up here like this, just to make sure that that board planes with the rafter. That way when you run your roofing, you won't have a hump down here at the bottom. Okay? So just get that nailed up there. And all I did was come out here and made it flush with the outside corner. I've done the same thing on the top. Just flush it with the top. Get it all screwed off. Once you get to this point, you're ready to start running your roofing. So I'm going to let my roof hang over 3 inches on either end. So my coop is 6 foot wide, so I'm going to cut some roofing boards that are 6 foot 6 inches long. Let me get those cut and I'll show you what I'm doing. So we got our first roofing board on. It's hanging over 3 inches on this end. And I'll let it hang over a 1/2 inch all the way down the bottom. And what that'll do, just like on my old coop here, it'll let the shingles hang over a little bit. It will support them just to get that water out a little bit further so it doesn't run down this fascia board. Okay? So, what we're going to do, keep running those roofing boards all the way up to the top. And that very first board up there, or last from here, is going to hang over a 1/2 inch just like this one. I'm going to get that done and I'll get back with you guys. So we got the roof done. There you go. We got our 1/2 inch overhang on the front, just like the back. 3 inches on the side. And it looks like we got a couple visitors already. Hey, this is for the chickens. Alright. So, the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to fill in this hole right there. And I'm going to build some doors. So, I got these ends closed up. Now I'm starting to work on the doors. So my hole here is 28 inches square. It's 28 by 28. So I want to make a frame out of those sticks right there. I've just taken a 2x4 from the sawmill and ripped it in half. Now I'm going to make a frame that is 27.5 inches by 27.5 inches. That'll give me 1/4 of an inch all the way around the door. That'll give the door room to work so it can open and close. Alright, let me get set up and I'll show you how I'm going to do my doors. So I got my frame done. It's glued and screwed together. The frame is good and square. Now what I'm going to do is cut some boards to go inside here. and they're going to go flush with that surface there. That way my door is nice and low profile. Let me get that done and I'll get right back with you. And there's my finished door. I'm going to go ahead and get the second one built and get both of these hung, and I'll get right back with you guys. So we got our door hung, and I'll show you guys a handy trick whenever you're going to hang your door. Go ahead and install your door stop. That's just a strip of wood screwed on the back of the door frame. It hangs out about 1/2 of an inch all the way around your door, everywhere except the bottom. Okay? Then pick yourself up a pack of these shims from your hardware store. They're pretty cheap, $3 or $4 for a big pack, and you can use those to set your door on. Set your door in the hole against those door stops, get it centered up in the hole, and use those to adjust your door height wherever you want it. Once you get it there, get someone to hold it, or in my case, I put a screw right here. Just run it up at an angle just to hold the door in place. Okay? Once it's there, it's held in place, go ahead and mark out where you're going to put your hinges and get those screwed on. Knock those shims out from under your door and your door will swing freely. Okay? Let me get this other door done and I'll get right back with you guys. So I got both of our doors done. I went ahead and made some handles here. I made these out of a piece of wood. Just shaped them up with a sander just to make them a little easier to grab. I went ahead and installed a toggle, and all that does is keep the door shut. That works really well. Super easy. Okay. And I also installed their ramp to get up and down. That's just a piece of rough sawn, about the same width as the door. And I put a cleat on there about every 6 inches just to help them to get up and down a little easier. I just screwed a block of wood under there to support that ramp. Now they're ready to go. So, one of the last things we have to do is our overhang. Now, like I said, I want to close this up with some hardware cloth, but I'm going to put a block of wood up in here just to catch the hardware cloth. Let me get set up and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So I want to show you guys a quick trick on how to get this angle. I left that out earlier. Let me go ahead and show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. Give me 1 second to get set up. So just go ahead and lean your board up in place about where it's going to go and let it rest on the ground on this end. Then you're going to take something and scribe the angle on it. Let me get someone to hold this camera and I'll show you how to do that. So one of the handiest things you can have is a speed square. Just get one of these little speed squares. They're relatively inexpensive. Put it up against your coop and you're going to want to scribe a line. That is the angle you're going to cut. You can take your speed square, line it up on the line. It's about 25 degrees. That's the angle you're going to set on your saw and the angle you're going to cut on the board. That's also the angle you're going to cut on the board you put underneath. Alright? You get that done, you'll have a really nice, really sturdy ramp. So, there's our little block that we're screwing up there to attach our hardware cloth to. And all that is just a little 1x2 strip. And that'll give me a ledge to nail the hardware cloth to. Let me get the rest of these put in and I'll get the hardware cloth up and I'll show you the finished product. And there you go. That is 1/2 inch hardware cloth all the way down on the back. Same thing on the front. Now I've just put that up and stapled it with a crown stapler. Alright, you want to attach this good and solid, that way nothing can get in. You got to contend with raccoons and things like that. That will keep all of those type of animals out. All right. Now the last thing I need to do is put some shingles on this roof. All right. I'm not going to bother showing that, but this is the finished coop. Okay. Now part 2, I'm going to put on a nest box and I'm going to put a run up. All right. So this will do it for this video. I'll see you guys again on part 2. Thanks for watching and God bless.